Linux distros or distributions are used to mean the various Linux versions available on the internet. So if someone asks, "What Linux distro do you use?" they mean to know the brand name such as Ubuntu or Linux Mint. Do you know there are hundreds of Linux distributions available out there? Hello there, I'm Lou. Welcome to Linux at Home channel, where you get the best benefit out of your Linux box. Want to stay up to date with me? Subscribe to my channel. But why are there so many Linux distributions? The reason is because of the free and open source license that allows anyone to study and modify the existing code. So in case, if a user downloaded a Linux distro made by some other user or company and ends up not liking it, that user could download the existing source code, study it, modify it, and create another new Linux distro. Most Linux distros were created this way, and this is also the main reason why there are hundreds of Linux distros. Then, how do you choose a Linux distro? The simple and quick answer would be to choose one that is popular and recommended for newbies. For instance, Linux Mint is one. Another choice would be Ubuntu or Elementary OS, etc. But if you prefer a more surgical method of choosing, that is, you wouldn't mind researching a suitable Linux distro for your hardware and based on your needs, here's a breakdown of 3 best possible ways for you to choose a Linux distro. 1. Hardware specifications. Do you own a decent modern hardware? A hardware that features an Intel Core i5 processor or other comparable processors? 8 GB of RAM with or without graphics card? If yes, then you could opt for Linux distributions such as Ubuntu or Linux Mint Cinnamon Edition. However, if you were on budget and instead bought a low-spec hardware with Intel Core i3 processor or lower, then you could opt in for Xubuntu or Linux Mint XFCE Edition. These Linux distros are lightweight and do not require lots of resources to run. 2. Look and feel. Look and feel is an important factor while choosing a Linux distro because most users tend to prefer how an OS looks compared to other OSs. So if you've been a long-time user of Microsoft Windows or OS X, you might prefer a Linux distro that looks similar to them. Linux Mint might be the choice for users switching to Linux from Windows, and Elementary OS for Apple users. Or if you prefer new computing style, you could try Ubuntu or Fedora. They are easy to use, just that they feature a new, unique look and feel. 3. Community support. If this is your first time trying out Linux, you might want to check out if the Linux distro you end up choosing has community support. This could be forums, Q&A site, internet relay chat, etc. So when you run into a problem with a Linux distro, you can ask for solutions from other users who use the same Linux distro, thus saving you time and headache instead of figuring out the problem yourself. And those are the 3 best possible ways for choosing a Linux distro. If you are lucky, you might just do one perfect Linux distro on your first try, or you might not. But the great news is, you can always switch to another one if you didn't like the previous Linux distro. Hey, thanks for watching to the end of my video. So, which option did you try out of the 3 best possible ways mentioned in the video? And what was the Linux distro that you ended up choosing? Let me know in the comments below.